What's a scary or disturbing fact that would probably keep most people awake at night? You could have a brain aneurysm with zero symptoms. Any day it could rupture and kill you from significant blood loss. Happened to my mom's friend right in front of her. The seemingly perfectly healthy woman died at 40 without warning during a work trip and while having drinks with her friends. One second she was laughing, the next second she was on the ground. Never woke up again. My poor mom was the one that had to call her husband and kids. The serial killer Richard Chase would try random houses to break into. If the door was unlocked, he saw it as being an invitation. If it was locked, he saw it as a sign that he was unwelcome. When swimming in stagnant water you could inhale an amoeba which eats its way through your nose and then eats your brainstem. There is a spider that has fangs so powerful that it can bite through a leather boot. It usually attacks multiple times and you have to grab it and pry it off of you. It is also incredibly deadly. Edit, I wrote it below here, but it's the Sydney funnel web spider. Because of its venom it is the deadliest spider. People who sleep less than 6 hours a night are at an increased risk to die prematurely. In child porn cases, someone has to actually watch the video beginning to end so they can testify about it in court to seal a conviction. It's estimated that there's somewhere around 25 to 50 serial killers that are active each year in the U.S. When an autopsy is performed, the organs are removed, weighed, sliced and placed into a plastic bag. This includes the brain and tongue. Once they're finished, they put everything together in the plastic bag and place it in the chest cavity. So when you're buried, your brain is actually in your chest. The frontal lobotomy was performed with no anesthesia and it was an outpatient procedure. Mike Wazowski nodding would be the same as him twerking. Many pandemics come in waves and more people died in the second wave of the Spanish flu than the first. 30% of the weight of solid feces is dead bacteria. Edit, for those of you requesting a source, here you go, https://www.britannica.com/. I'm actually editing a book that gives a higher percentage, which I had to fact check. I've not received a response to my author query about the discrepancy, but that's okay. I'm at the limit of my curiosity. Also in terms of source, the person below that said typically, the anus made me laugh, as did the person who responded typically. For those of you who want a percentage in liquid feces, I'm having some difficulty with the centrifuge and will get back to you. I swear these threads always pop up right before bed. There are a fair number of missing nuclear weapons. Edited to add, I certainly didn't expect this level of response. Thanks for the awards. For context, I used to work for a U.S. intelligence service on a project tasked with recovering these things. It was, simultaneously, the most boring and terrifying year and a half of my life. Pigs will eat humans if given the chance. Cancer is extremely common. You likely have cancer right now. The only thing stopping you from going terminal are your immune system and more cancer. That's right, cancer can get cancer that kills the cancer. In the 70s-80s, the first case of many Southeast Asian refugees in the U.S. who died screaming in their sleep was recorded. This was common for Lao Hmong men who lived through the Cambodian genocide and CIA recruitment for the Lao Civil War. It's theorized that this was an extreme form of PTSD. One story, the man had stayed up for days fearing he would be attacked if he slept. He drank coffee and lied to his parents about sleeping. He did everything he could to keep from sleeping. When he finally fell asleep, his parents thought this crisis was over. Then they heard screams in the middle of the night. By the time they got to him, he was dead. He died in the middle of a nightmare. Edit, I said first recorded but I'm dumb and this was not the first record of it. And Lao Civil War not Nam. Edit 2, Some articles from the time: a digital NY Times article from when the cases really started racking up in '81, https www.newyorktimes.com 198105110 use nightmares suspected in bed deaths of 18 Laotians.html and La Times article from '88, https www.latimes.com archives La XPM 1988 0424 me 2575 story.html. True edit. Yes, I watched Game Theory, it freaked me out and taught me something. I posted this and learned more from y'all, like apparently the story I wrote was a fake one. But man, is it a memorable reminder the effects of a war that no one really talks about. Someday, one last person will remember you for the last time, and from that day forward, no one ever will. Waking up isn't guaranteed. It takes 22 pounds of pressure to pop a testicle. You probably already escaped death or serious injury in your lifetime by simply being in the right place at the right time. On average, you'll walk past 36 murderers in your lifetime. Hopefully the next time you do go past one, they'll say, "No, not that one, too good looking." This one's a little esoteric, but false vacuum decay https://n.wikipedia.org wiki false vacuum. The fundamental properties of the universe might suddenly decide to change one day. It might be an insignificant change, or so great that all matter would just cease to exist, and we wouldn't see it coming until we blinked out of existence. Edit, fixed link so it didn't point to the in fiction bit. Edit 2, as several people have pointed out below, there's a good Curse Jessict video on this. https youtube.page fm6v. Upvotes to everyone who linked it. You are far more likely to be murdered by someone you know than a stranger. You can actually wake up during surgery. But the worst part is that you are still paralyzed. So you can feel everything what they do to you, but you can't signal to them that you are conscious. This is one of my worst fears. You have mites in your eyelashes. There is a plant called Dendrocnide moroides, also known as Gimpy Gimpy or the suicide plant. It's mostly found in Australia and has little stinging hairs all over it. When touched, they inject a neurotoxin in your body which hurts so much, that most people rather killed themselves than waiting the 1 or 2 days until it gets better. I have the information from another Redditor on this sub, and haven't found anything that literally says yeah they killed themselves, but I do believe it's true. Anyway, Ernie Ryder, who got hit by this plant in 1963 said, "For 2 or 3 days the pain was almost unbearable, I couldn't work or sleep, then it was pretty bad pain for another fortnight or so. The stinging persisted for 2 years and recurred every time I had a cold shower, there's nothing to rival it, it's 10 times worse than anything else." Source, https://n.m.wikipedia.org Wikidendrocnide moroides. Think of someone you love but only see a few times a year. Now take a guess at how many years until one of you dies. How many more times in your lifetime are you going to see that person? If you moved away from your parents and only see them 3 times a year and you expect them to live another 30 years, that's less than 100 times you will ever see them again. Edit, this is what first made me really think about this idea. Probably where Aziz Ansari it from 2 https waitbetween.com 201512 to the tail end.html. As a person dies, your sense of hearing is the last sense to be lost. Prions exist. Edit, I am not that good with biology, so I left it to other Redditors to explain. But since so many of you asked, prions are misfolded proteins that cause other proteins that interact them to become misfolded or prions themselves. This can stop crucial body processes and cause death, and there's no cure as far as I know. If the Yellowstone supervolcano erupted, it would decimate most of America. It's unlikely to happen anytime soon, but it's 2020, the year of absolute ducking shit. So, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. Edit, I've been told that it would actually affect most of the world, not just America. And I apparently misused the word decimate. Stifling a sneeze can rupture your throat. Here https www.google.com ampswu.bbc.com News App Health 4268797 Edit. Thank you for those who pointed out that my title was a little bit misleading. You'll be fine as long you don't suppress your sneeze. Have a good day. The Elon School was open for 40 years and voluntarily closed in 2011. Nobody was arrested for creating this place. https://n.wikipedia.org Wiki% C3% 89 Live School Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Go here, https://elon.school Rude Awakening. Most Reddit users walk the world freely and unrestrained. For those unfamiliar, a hockey player named Colby Cave just passed away 2 days ago from a brain bleed in his sleep. It's horrifying that a 25-year-old in peak physical condition can go to bed and just die essentially. Especially by something so far beyond anyone's control. Totally heartbreaking series of events. https://n.wikipedia.org Wiki Colby Cave https://n.wikipedia.org Wiki Colby Cave